This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth, and in case you guys haven't heard, there was another deadly school shooting in the United States, this time in Georgia, where a young 14-year-old kid named Colt Grey allegedly walked into his school and killed 2 students and 2 teachers. Now, there's a lot to unpack here. I've been reading up about this particular case for the last few days, and I think we can start this whole thing off with the fact that, first of all, this kid comes from a very troubled home. His father was allegedly very abusive, and his mother was a serial criminal. She's got a whole rap sheet of records and arrests that date back 17 years. She was apparently in jail just as recently as April of this year, and in one of these arrests, she apparently had methamphetamines and fentanyl was found in her vehicle. So there's a history here of you know, drug use and abuse, and a lot of this culminated into the family separating when they got evicted from their home. I believe this happened in 2022. Now here's where things start to get a little bit interesting. In the eviction process, the police will raid your home, and they weren't home at the time. So the police ended up uncovering weapons in the home, an AR-15, other guns, I think a crossbow was found. Now, when you're carrying out an eviction, you can't just leave items like that on the front lawn. They had to take it into their custody. The weapons were held in police lockers, and according to these records, the guns were released back to the family at some point. Now, keep all this in mind. Police are already well aware the family is stacked with weapons, but it was shortly after this that the FBI received a tip from someone that told them that the young Colt Grey was using the app Discord to make threats that he was threatening to shoot up a school. So obviously the police and the FBI take things like this very, very seriously, and they went and they investigated this. Now, remember now, this is like a year before this shooting happens. The FBI finds out that this kid's making threats online, and they go to interview him. Colt denies that he made any of these threats, and throughout the process of this interview, the father revealed some things. According to some of these police records, he says that Colt was very bullied in school. He had a rough go at it. He says the kids would call him gay. There are some articles saying that he was bullied for being gay. Now, I think we need to make it clear that at this point, it is absolutely not clear whether or not the father was saying that his son is gay, or that bullies were calling him gay as, you know, a bullying tactic, much like what they do. Now, these records also indicated that Colt at one time expressed frustrations with the acceptance of transgender people. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people online have jumped to the conclusion, I believe, suggesting that here we go again, another, you know, transgender shooter is what we have here. But, you know, when you look at the wording, I mean, I too have expressed frustration with the acceptance of transgender people. So again, it's not necessarily clear if he's gay or he's not gay, or if he's trans or if he's not trans. You know, he could be a gay person who's against trans, you know, one of those ones who says they're giving us a bad name, or he might not be gay or trans at all and is frustrated with the acceptance of transgender people in the same sense that I do. That remains to be seen. But what we have to go on are the facts of the case. And what we discover here is that the police and the FBI did not arrest this young man at the time. And they say the reason why they were not able to arrest him for threatening to shoot up this school, according to the police records, is because there were, quote, inconsistencies in the evidence. So according to the FBI and the police who are in charge of the case, they said that there were inconsistencies with what they found on the Discord account. Namely, that this is a 14-year-old kid from Georgia, but the account was being accessed not only from Georgia, but also from Buffalo and also from New York. And this doesn't make any sense at this point. So they decided to not arrest him and to just let it be. Now, obviously, after something like that, the FBI is going to maintain a very close look. This kid is going to remain on their radar. Obviously, after having threatened to shoot up a school, they've already known that he's in possessions of weapons, and he's been on their radar for the last year. And now you fast forward a year, and all of a sudden this young man walks into this school and shoots, 4 people. And upon being arrested and being in handcuffs and being read his Miranda rights, he utters these 3 very potentially revealing and chilling words. He says to the arresting officer, "I did it." Now, let me ask yourself, you guys, is it more presumable to believe that what he was saying when he said, "I did it," bear in mind, he's already in handcuffs, he's already being read his Miranda rights. Do you think he's saying, like, "I'm the one, I did it. Hey, if anybody's wondering who amongst all of us in this room is the one who did this, it's me. I did it. I'm the one who did it"? I don't think so. I mean, he's already in handcuffs. Everybody knows he's the person who did it. He's the guy who pulled the trigger. Or is it more presumably likely that someone would say something like that after doing what they were told to do? Like, as in, "Okay, I did it," or "There, I did it." And the reason why I bring that up, guys, is because I've been studying school shootings and mass shootings for almost 2 decades now. And almost 9 times out of 10, first of all, we find out that these people were on SSRI drugs, antidepressants like Prozac or Zoloft, many of which literally have on their warning labels that they cause suicidal thoughts and homicidal tendencies. So that's something that needs to be looked at. But also, on top of the fact that this kid very well may have been on antidepressants and SSRI drugs, is also the very real fact and possibility that he, like many others, were instructed to do this. I mean, he was on the radar for over a year, and I can't count how many times I've discovered that after the fact we find out that not only were they on the radar, but they were in contact with either an undercover FBI agent or a so-called informant. Like, one example, a good example, is here in Canada. There was the Canada Day foiled terror plot, and this put a lot of fear into the minds of the Canadian masses in terms of thinking that there's a potential threat of homegrown terrorism. But much later it came out that the 2 suspects in question were actually under the direct control of CSIS agents, and that they were entrapped, that they were coerced into potentially, carrying this thing out before the authorities were able to foil the plot. And I've seen this so many times, countless scores of times. So again, it remains to be seen on whether or not this kid was gay, or if he was a transgender activist or not. And that's important to continue to look at, obviously. In case you didn't know, after the shooting, the police finally released the manifesto of Audrey Hale. This is the transgender shooter whose manifesto was kept secret for a long time, up until just now. So there very well may be something to that, but I don't want people to jump to the gun, so to speak, when it comes to that. I think what we need to focus on is that guns are clearly not the issue here, and mental health clearly is. I mean, if this wasn't like a blatant cut clear case that, it's mental health is what needs to be dealt with here, then I don't know what else is going to convince, the American people. Now, in the lead up to the 2024 selection process that's going to be happening over the next, whatever it is, 60 days, there's a good potential we may see more of these types of events, which obviously bring on the call for more strict gun control. And it's something that these campaigners can use in the lead up to their, presidential selection hopes. So this is something I wanted to bring to your attention today, because it's something a lot of people are failing to miss. The kid seems to have alluded to having done something that he was told to do. He was on the FBI's radar for obviously over a year. They knew he had weapons. They knew he was threatening to shoot up a school. You have to ask yourself, is this something that was made to happen on purpose, or did they let it happen on purpose? So I just wanted to kind of outline to you some of the facts of the case, because as I said, I've been studying these types of things for almost 2 decades now, and I absolutely would not be surprised if we find out that this kid was on SSRI drugs. And that's why, we have to look at the mental health aspect of this rather than guns being the problem. So just wanted to bring all of that to your attention today, guys. If you do appreciate my efforts to do so, please check that link in the top of the description on whatever video platform you happen to be watching this video on today. I can't continue to do this work without the support coming directly from you, the viewers. So if that's something you appreciate, please check out pressfortruth.ca/donate. Once again, you can check that top link in the description below. And that's all for today, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Please click the thumbs up button, share this video, and stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.